If you've been a creator, a business owner, or honestly just living for more than 5 minutes, you probably have heard that consistency is the key to growth. We're supposed to post weekly, show up daily, and never miss an upload. But I truly believe that there is more to consistency than just that. So let's talk about it. Hello, you guys, and welcome back to Cozy and Thriving, the podcast where we just learn to build a life that we actually want to be present for. I'm your host, Michaela, and I'm so excited about today's episode because I'm actually kicking off a series here on the podcast called The Art of Showing Up. And it's really about being consistent, like what it means to be consistent, what it means to be creative, and what it means to be confident in this space. I've had to learn a lot of that as an introvert and somebody who has been in the background for most of their life by choice. And I just feel like now is the time to just like be confident, be creative, and show up and be consistent. And yeah, so today we're talking about the consistency aspect of that. We don't want to burn out or lose joy in what we do, and consistency is one of the things that I feel like we can lose it the most in. So we're going to talk about it. I have a nice cozy blanket. It is a cozy rainy day. If you are watching, it is so cozy in my house. The light is dim. I have on like all my lamps. I have candles going. I have my hot coffee because I've been freezing, my nice chunky blanket. It is truly cozy season. It is full on for the cozy girls. It is that time of year for real. So let's talk about what the current definition of consistency is. We've heard consistency thrown around so many times as creators, as business owners, even in life in general. Being consistent is something that we are supposed to do and supposed to be as just consistent human beings. And especially as a creator, as a podcaster, the rule is to post X amount of times every single week and to upload X amount of times every single week and make sure you're never off, or, prepare your listeners for being off, or whatever the case is. Like, it's always just about constantly doing and constantly putting out and constantly doing all of these things. Like I said last week, this is kind of like a rollover. Just like in business, we're constantly told to consistently do and consistently to be on, but there's no time for rest. So I feel like consistency in the business realm, consistency in general, kind of leaves out that aspect of rest. It can turn from consistency into pressure, and then from pressure to burnout, which then it just like turns into this rigid standard that leaves no room for creativity, real life, or even resting. And I don't know about you, but for me, this is the time where I actually stop creating. This is where I actually stop wanting to post. And I feel like there's a pattern. Like, if you follow me on social media, I am very consistent with the podcast, but it's because I love the podcast and I got a system down. I love the podcast so much. I'm obsessed. But if you follow me on Instagram or TikTok or anything, you can see when my like motivation is up and when I am trying to be consistent, and then when I just like feel the pressure to be consistent and then I completely stop altogether. I'm like not posting for days on end. I'm only in my stories, but it's very little bit in stories. It's just a hot mess, and I'm trying to get that under control. But I feel like after today, we will have it under control. I'm so excited. I'm so excited because I have something for you guys at the end of this video, okay? So don't go anywhere. But this is the moment where creators stop creating, and it's not because they don't care, and it's not because they don't want to, it's because they're exhausted. And I want to fix that. I want to help you not get to that place of exhaustion, because I don't believe that we have to be exhausted to be successful. I don't believe that we have to be exhausted to be consistent. So just ride along with me, okay? Stay with me. I want you to take this mindset shift and think about it a little bit, okay? Consistency isn't about how often you show up, but about how you show up. You can be consistent on all platforms, but still be inconsistent in your energy, in boundaries, and even in the way that you show up on everything or show up in person. You can also be super inconsistent on your messaging. But the other option is to show up less frequently, but when you show up, you're consistent in energy, mood, messaging. Everything is so much more consistent because you're having that time of rest, but also you're understanding that being consistent doesn't mean just following the rule of being consistent. And when you show up less frequently, but more consistent in your mood and your energy and intention, that's what's going to build you a brand that lasts forever. That's going to be the core of your brand, and it's not going to move. It's not going to go anywhere because you know what consistency actually entails. You know that it entails that intention. It entails that mood, that energy, that care, and that love for what you are doing. And this is something that I try to remind my clients when they are like, I don't have anything, I am feeling like I just need a break, or I need to take time off. I feel like I don't have any time to like batch record. And I always tell them it's no rush, because to me, it makes more sense for my clients to take a break and to get under control whatever else is taking their time and attention. So that way, when that is cleared up, they come back with the energy that they need to show up online and to show up for their audience and to show up for themselves in their brand and in their business. And if you don't get anything else out of this podcast episode, I want you to get this, that absolutely nobody, and when I say nobody, I mean nobody connects with burnout. Nobody. If you are doing things off of burnout, I can guarantee you that nobody is connecting with it, because burnout can be felt. Burnout can be seen. Burnout is loud. I'm going to share a little bit more about my story and about how I am kind of going forward in the next part of 2026. But before I do that, I actually want to help you find your version of consistency. I don't know what else I want to call that. I feel like I want to call it something to be like cute and fancy, but I just don't know what to call it. I want you to do a personal audit, and I actually am going to have like a full audit down in the show notes for you that you can actually download and just kind of go through the questions. My suggestion would be to redo this like every quarter. So we're kind of in the middle of Q4, which is like fine. You can do that now. But if you want to, you can actually do this and like set yourself up for 2026 using this and starting like January 1st. But to be honest, pull this out as much or as little as you need. But I definitely think that it's a good resource for entrepreneurs, business owners, solopreneurs, podcasters, creators, business owners, whatever. I feel like this is really good to just kind of keep in your back pocket to make sure that you're not burning yourself out or doing too much. But for right now, here on the podcast, I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and these are part of that audit. But these are 3 questions that you can ask yourself to start to really find your consistency, find what is consistent for you and how your workflow works and what's going to be the best pathway for you to not burn out for the rest of 2026. So number 1 is, when do you actually feel good showing up? Is this in the morning? Is it in the afternoon? Is it in the evening? Is it after you've had your cup of coffee? Is it after all of your tasks are complete? Like, what is it? It doesn't have to be like a specific time. Like, it doesn't have to be like, oh, 10 a.m. is like good for me. This could be like anything that makes you feel like you are going to show up and be good at showing up. The second question is, what parts of creating feel forced and what feels natural? So for me, one thing that is like super forced is to try to create content for 4+ days out of the week. If it is longer, if I have to create more than 3 pieces of content a week, that's usually when I start to burn myself out, and usually when you see me dip out of social media because it's just too much. I can't keep up, and I feel like doing social media is a lot. It's a lot of work, and it's not just like a easy 1, 2, 3 and done. So that to me is just already too much. So that feels forced. But something that actually feels natural for me is actually doing this right now. Sitting down, talking, sharing whatever I want on my podcast, sharing stuff on my short form content. Like creating content actually is so easy for me. And especially when I set days to do it, it makes it that much easier. And the last question that I want you to ask is, if I stop trying to do everything or meet a rule, what rhythms and routines would make sense to me? If you didn't have to follow the post 3 times a week or 3 times a day rule on Instagram to grow, how would you be posting? Or if you didn't have to follow the I'm going to post at the same time every single week on my podcast rule, what would your podcasting schedule look like? Or if you're trying to grow a business, if you didn't have to follow the rule of posting all the time, what would be, I keep talking about posting because social media is like one of those big things that I feel like we all integrate ourselves in, no matter if you're just trying to be a podcaster, if you're a business owner, if you're actually a content creator. Even as an entrepreneur, we use social media a lot as our avenue to get more clients. And so we're always there. So to me, if we took out that thing that's in the back of your brain saying you're not posting enough and that's why you don't have enough clients, or you're not showing up enough online, that's why you don't have enough clients, that type of mindset, if we could get rid of that mindset, how would we actually be showing up online? And that's really going to show you where your consistency lies. Because, well, I'm going to share mine. I am going to share mine. But for me, if that wasn't the case, it would actually be only 2 times a day. Not 2 times a day, 2 times a week. My goodness, posting 2 times a day. I can't even post 5 times a week. That would be insane for me. Oh my goodness. But since I already started talking about myself, I might as well continue to kind of give you an example of what this audit has done for me and how I'll be showing up in my business and online for the rest of 2025. It is really getting dark. If you're watching, I apologize. It's almost 5 p.m. here and it's raining, so it's already dark, but then the sun's like setting too. So we're just gonna lean into the cozy vibe, okay? Cozy vibe. Okay, so this personal audit, what it has done for me was really just show me how I want to show up for the rest of the year on all platforms and in my business. This year has been a year of growth for me. It has been a year of surprises in the best ways. I started this podcast this year. I started my business this year, and all of that has just done so much for me. I've met so many amazing people. I've created an amazing community already, and it's just only going to go up from here. So for the rest of 2026, when I was asking myself these questions, the very first thing that I wrote down was, I feel good showing up online and to work when my house is in order. So I am definitely taking after my mother in that way, where she just likes everything to be spotless. And I am not to her tier, but if I could be, I would be. But for me, it's going to bed with a clean house is so nice because I can wake up and like do my routine without there being like a huge mess to clean up or like mess to move around. And even like making breakfast in the morning, sometimes like if I leave all the dishes out or whatever at night and then I need a certain dish or we don't have any more forks or silverware or whatever, I have to wash that, which then ends up putting more time into my morning that I need or want to be doing something else. So I wrote on there, I feel good showing up online and to work when my house is in order. So my very first thing would be to put my house in order before I did anything else, before I worked, before I sat down to record a podcast, before I did any type of content. I have to get my house in order. Then when I wrote down like what parts of creating feel forced. And like I said, coming up with a lot of content, it makes me feel like I'm forcing myself to be a content creator. I'm forcing myself to be more into content than I need to be. And then the last thing was that if I was not trying to meet a rule, I'd give 2 valuable pieces of content each week. I would engage with those who engage with me, and I would focus more on building my business than building an Instagram account, which is like crazy because I love Instagram. And I think at the beginning of this year, my thought and my goal was to have content creation be my full-time job, but little did I know, I was going to actually be in the content creation space, just helping other creators. And I was also going to be podcasting, which is like amazing. I love it. And like I say all the time, I'm obsessed with my podcast and I'm obsessed with doing this and obsessed that this is my job. Like it's just crazy. So the last thing that I wrote on here was that if I wasn't trying to meet a rule, I'd give 2 valuable pieces of content a week. I would engage with those who engage with me, and I would focus more on building my business rather than building my Instagram account. So that is all that I have for you today. I am so very, very excited for this series that we are doing. I don't want you to forget that consistency is a relationship with your creativity, your audience, and yourself. It's not about posting and showing up every day, even when you're burnt out. Consistency is doing things even when you don't feel like it because you want to grow, but it's not doing it to the detriment of burning yourself out, if that makes any sense at all. So I want you guys to make sure that you grab your free cozy creator audit. It's in the show notes. It's completely free. Okay. There's no cost to you. And I think that it's really going to help. Like I said, I feel like it's just good to have in your back pocket, and you can use this quarterly. You can use this yearly. You can use this weekly. Like you can use this as little or as much as you want to. And next week's episode is actually going to be what to do when you don't feel like showing up, but you deeply care about your work, which is like literally me. Hello. That is literally how I feel a lot. So we're going to talk about that for the both of us, not just me, but for both of us. And yeah, I think that's it. Don't forget that if this resonated with you, or just you like the podcast and you don't already, subscribe, rate, comment, like, share. I cannot wait to see you guys next week. I am I love this podcast. I love this community. I love everything about it. And you guys are just amazing. So with all that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Sunday or wonderful rest of your week. And until next time, y'all, bye everybody.